Welcome back. Now in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to open, modify, and run queries against a SQL database using SQL Pro. Now again, if you're on a Mac, I recommend using SQL Pro. You're welcome to use any other database tool that you'd like. If you're on a Windows machine, I recommend SQL Yog. Feel free to use something different as well. So here we go. When you log in, you are going to need to log in and connect to a database. A lot of these programs are used to connect with a database that is in the cloud. Now what that means is the database is running on a server somewhere that is not on the same machine that you're connecting with. That's why you'll see a lot of username, password, database, port, name, SQL hosts, all of these kinds of things, because it's data that is required in order to make a secure connection to a remote database. We are not going to touch on that. What we're going to do is, instead of trying to connect to a remote database, since we've already downloaded the world.sql file that we mentioned earlier, you're just going to log in via socket. So check out this, socket as opposed to standard or SSH. You're going to log in using the root, leave the password blank, and there we go. Now what we're going to do is add a database. I'm going to call it world.sql. It already exists. So we are going to open it right here. Great. Now what you can see is that we have selected the world.sql database. We have all of our data in the city table, country table, and country language, which you can see down here. And we can see the structure, content, everything of whatever database we want to take a look at. For example, you can see in the country table of the world database, there are country codes, there are names, continents, regions, surface area, independent year or year of independence, population, life expectancy, all of these really useful pieces of data. This is the data set that we are going to be pulling from when we run our own SQL queries. We're going to get to that in the next lecture, but really quickly, I want to show you an example query that we can run that you should be somewhat familiar with after seeing and going through the exercise that we did in the last lesson. Let's pull down and see the relative populations of all of the countries in our database. So we want to select the name of the country because we want to know exactly what country we're using, and the population. As you can see, this database has a list of populations for each of the country names that we have here. Select name and population from country. That's the table that we want to select from. And then let's group the results by population. And now if you wait a little bit, SQL Pro is just giving us some examples where it's saying, do you want us to pull from population in the country table, or would you prefer that we pulled population data from the city table? Since we're pulling from country, we're going to select country, and go ahead and run this query. And there we have it. We have the total population of all of these countries, which we can easily sort in ascending or descending, or simply by typing in that command. Boom. In the next lecture, I'm going to break down how to actually write your first SQL query, the different components of each query, that once you memorize, you'll be able to construct pretty much any query, any statement you can imagine. And then we'll go through and run some test exercises to really familiarize you and get your hands dirty with using SQL on a real database like the one that we have now.